Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Early Edge. My name is Sia Nejad, and we are brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. A great Monday show, but no Monday night football. So you'll be curious, I'm sure, what picks we have today. Tennis, anyone? We've got a lot going on with the NBA, tennis, NFL, college basketball as well. Let's take a look at the recap screen as I greet everybody in the chat. Pogo Picks, Big Cheesy, D Johnson in here, Farzad. We go 6 and 7, 6-7. I do want to explain my average QB parlay as I put it on Friday. I had actually put it in wrong, but in the SportsLine Discord, on Twitter, and in the YouTube comments, I made sure everybody was very clear that plus 105 needed Trevor Lawrence to have 2+ touchdowns. Of course, that hits. SportsLine picks go 2 out of 3. Mikey B goes 1 for 2. Very easily could have been 2 for 2 as De'Aaron Fox lands on 24. Let's see who we have on the show today. Let's turn this 6-7 around to maybe 7-6, or maybe something even better than that. We got to do better than 6 and 7 regardless. We'll do it with Larry Hartstein, Mike McClure, and Mikey B. Where do I go first, Mikey B? I was going to go to you because, you hate when you get hooked, right? But Larry, I'm going to start with you. Your reaction to Sunday.
Oh, I have so many reactions, see, and the first one has to be congrats to you for winning a very tough field in the SportsLine Futures Championship. It's a competition I finished second in the last 2 years. I was hoping to get to the top, but you dominated, so congrats to you. Also, congrats to John Harbaugh for deciding, we don't need another 5 or 10 yards. We just saw Chris Boswell, one of the most reliable kickers, have his PAT sail way wide right. So let's just give our rookie a 44-yarder, even though I have a timeout in my back pocket. And then the other comment is, what about the Eagles? They must not think the Bears are that legit, because they probably think, hey, we'll still get the second home game, even though we will take the 3 seed. That was surprising because the 2 seed was there for the taking.
Well, it's interesting because, Mike, the Eagles were in a position to understand that the Lions and Bears game, you have to know that the Lions were rolling out their starters. And if you looked at the spread, it was only 3, whereas a lot of these games where they were kind of give-up games was 13.5-point spreads, 10.5. Your reaction to the Eagles resting their starters and basically foregoing the 2 seed? Or potentially foregoing the 2 seed, which ended up happening.
Yeah, potentially foregoing it. It did end up happening. Look, I think it's such a delicate balance. They play so many games now. The season is so long. The fact that you were guaranteed a home game either way and a bye week in front of it, I think that's what was ultimately more important. I thought that it's you could argue it both ways, but I think the one thing that you can't argue is now they are in guaranteed health and they get to play at home. If someone gets hurt in a game like that, it definitely doesn't look great. Obviously, they would love to have another seed. I also think that they, look at some of the probabilities there. I think there's still a good chance they get multiple home games. So I think that they probably, considering the way the season's gone for them, I think it was actually probably the right call.
All right. I'm on the other side of that. I think you could have rested your ailing starters, people with who had nagging injuries already, but I think the guys that were already healthy, maybe you could have rolled them out. Mikey B, any take on Sunday before we get to your NBA picks?
Yeah, I just want to say that was so Giants to win that game yesterday, and the last 2 weeks to fall from the first pick to the 5th pick. There was a stat: the Giants are 4-2 in weeks 17 and 18 the last 3 seasons, and I believe they're 9-36 weeks 1 through 16. So if that doesn't sum up the New York Football Giants, I don't know what does.
I think there was also a stat that they're like 3-0 in these games when they can grab the number 1 seed.
That's awful. Joe Shane's keeping his job.
Yeah, sorry.
Get ready. Joe Shane's coming back. It's going to happen. It's going to be brutal.
Yeah, it's interesting about the Giants because even if you think you have your quarterback in Jackson Dart, the value of that number 1 pick in terms of what people will trade up for is just, you can't put a price on that, or you can, and they won't know what the price is, frankly, because they keep winning games at the end of the season. All right, Mikey B, how about we start with some picks? On Friday you went 1 for 2. Again, very easily could have gone 2 for 2, but that's how it breaks. Either way, sometimes we're on the good side of that, sometimes we're on the bad side of it. Give us a couple of picks for tonight.
I'm doing something, Sia, that I rarely do, giving 2 picks for the same team in the same game. But I like the Celtics-Bulls matchup tonight. And no, neither picks are for players on the Bulls. First, we're going to do Derek White over 10.5 rebounds and assists at -114. I've been playing this a lot on the site. Normally, it's 9.5. I've been playing a lot of the over on that. It's been hitting, so they bumped it up to 10.5. Still like it. He's got at least 11 combined rebounds and assists in 6 of his last 8 games. The 2 that he missed, he had 9 and 10 combined, so they were near misses. And we know we like to attack the Bulls. They've played at the second fastest pace in the league, which has resulted in them allowing the 8th most rebounds per game and the 9th most assists per game in a fast-paced, high-scoring game. I think Derek White goes over 10.5 rebounds and assists. And now we're going to go with a lesser name, Luka Garza, over 7.5 points at -122. He has quickly become an important bench player for the Celtics. He's only averaging 15 minutes per game for the season, but over the last 7 games, he's averaged 22 minutes. In 5 of those 7 games, he scored at least 11 points. We talked about how the Bulls play at a fast pace. They have the 8th worst defensive rating. And, oh, yeah, the Bulls are without their 2 backup centers in Zach Collins and Jalen Smith, so he's going to get a lot of mismatches. I think Luka Garza goes over 7.5 points. And if you're looking for a laddering opportunity, I wouldn't mind taking him to score 10+ as well.
We've got some basketball NBA questions already, which we're going to get to in a second. Mike, John Romero in the chat says, thanks to Mike for the Ashton Genty under 1,075.5 rushing yards. I'm trying to remember, Mike, did you give that out on this show as well? I know that was a big, I happen to know that was a big play for you. I know on some of our other programming, I heard you say it. I'm just worried. I'm just wondering about that, but also congratulations, because I know that was a huge play for you.
Yes, thank you. It was, again, more just a principle play, not a knocking Ashton Genty. It was a sign of respect to him to have a number so robust without ever taking a snap in the NFL on a team that we knew was likely to be losing games, right? That was the biggest thing, is just the fact that they were losing and very likely to be losing games in that division. So as far as giving it out on the show, I believe we only talked about it in the chat, but I believed it was many times in the chat we talked about it. It came up, kind of referenced it like this, where we had given it on other programs there, but definitely glad to be finished with that one, though, because he did show a lot of potential towards the end, and certainly got a lot of run towards the end.
Yeah, Jeff Stewart saying I cashed the under Genty due to M squared as well. I guess it's probably time. It's funny, there's a lot of Trevor talk in the chat, a lot of Jags talk. Remember, Trevor was the most important piece of my average QB parlay. We might have another Trevor play on a Monday for what is that, a Saturday or Sunday game in Jacksonville later on in this show. How about we go to college basketball? Larry, why don't you hit us with your college basketball play today?
Well, Fran McCaffrey was not a great coach in the Big Ten, but I think in the Ivy League, he has a shot to turn this Penn program around. He played for Penn back in the day, and I've been very impressed with them. I tried to fade them the other day against George Mason. It did not work. They played them close. They played Rutgers close. They've covered 3 straight. Now they're going to Princeton. This is the Ivy League opener. Neither team is expected to be up at the top with Yale. There's not a big talent gap, and Princeton has owned the series. They've won 13 straight meetings, but I think 3.5 is too many. I think this is a game that comes down to the wire. If you look at what Penn has done in the month of December, since December started, 22% from beyond the arc is the way they are defending the 3-point line. And Princeton, all they want to do is shoot threes. They almost take half of their shots from beyond the arc. So I think it's a good matchup for Penn. Both teams are missing some key guys, but I just think the way Penn is playing, 3 straight covers by big margins where they have been really surpassing the market. I would play this down also at +3. I don't want to go lower than that. So you got to shop around, because you're seeing the market anywhere right now from 2.5 to 3.5. So give me Penn on the road, possibly break that 13-game skid against Princeton.
All right, Penn +3.5 there. I'm seeing some stuff in the chat. Can everybody confirm, did we have the recap screen wrong? Are we actually 7-6 instead of 6-7? I'm waiting for, I know Ben's probably looking into that as well. I'm waiting for confirmation. I thought I saw something about a Rico Dowdle play from Brasco that ended up coming in. So certainly would love to correct that if it ends up being 7-6 rather than 6-7. Let's see. Let's go to, I'll tell you what. Let's go to an NBA question. Mikey B, there was something on OG Anunoby over 16.5 points at -120.
Yeah, I would lean over there. Again, Josh Hart is going to be out again for the Knicks. He's a big absence for them. They're 2-3 over the last 5 games without him. So that's a big loss. More shots. I mean, Hart doesn't exactly have a big usage rate, but the Knicks don't exactly have the greatest, deepest forwards bench spots either. So I would lean over on that, yes.
All right. I would also lean over on us having a winning record from Friday, where I got to be honest, we started off really poorly on Friday in terms of the win-loss. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks. Listen, sometimes we're going to make these errors. We got a lot of picks every single day. We are not 6-7. In fact, we are 7-6 because Brasco didn't go 1 for 3. He went 2 for 3, close to 3 for 3 with that teaser. But we'll take 2 for 3 and we'll take 7-6 on our weekend recap. Shout out to Brasco for 2 out of 3. Sportsline picks 2 out of 3. I go 2 out of 3. We'll go ahead and take those W's and we'll take that 7-6 mark. There was a comment by Gippers Picks that I do want to mention. He said, hey, listen, if the Ravens had, and Larry, I want to get your reaction to this. We got a lot more picks to get to, but I think it's important to react to this because we're always going to second guess coaches in situations like the Ravens and the Steelers. But what Kipper's pick said was, if we get 3 or 5 yards closer, that kick is still a miss. And that's true, although maybe there's a little bit more confidence in the kicker because he's that much closer. Circumstances can change. My thing is, the way the Ravens season unfolded, and this happens every season to them, but particularly this season with Isaiah Likely, like the freak fumble, the freak like non-catch that probably was a catch, the Zay Flowers fumbles that he seems to have every season, and the Derrick Henry fumbles. I'm not so sure I want to give it to a Raven to get 3 or 5 more yards because if there's a fumble there, everybody's going to point to Harbaugh and say, hey, how could you do that? Just line up the kicker. It's 45 yards and in. He's a great kicker. You've seen all the crazy things that have happened to the Ravens. I feel like he loses either way in that argument.
Yeah, I just don't think you can play in fear of a fumble. You can also just have Lamar run, for 4 or 5 yards, keep it. And he has not been a fumbler the same way. It just, I don't know, after watching that Boswell kick, which was really shocking, it looked like it started right down the middle and then something happened to it. Maybe his mindset is a little better if it's a 39-yarder and not a 44-yarder.
I actually had I had a live bet on the Steelers -2.5 that I made the moment that TJ Watt got that crazy interception. And so when he missed that extra point, I'm like, all right, well, here we are, -2. Anyway, because then even if whatever, they could have tied it, gone into overtime, I still could have covered the bet. Let's get to some Sportsline picks, and we got more picks to get to, including an NFL pick and Mike, your tennis pick. We're going Jeff Hockman. We're going to the NHL. Utah Mammoth money line. We got a plus number next to this at +106. And Miles McBride, this one courtesy of Prop Stars. Miles McBride over 11.5 points, -122. Before we go to a break, Mikey B, I know we just talked about OG Anunoby. Any thoughts on Miles McBride here?
Yeah, I like that. I like that one from Proppy.
All right, we like that one. Let's see. I know we have a lot more questions, but I'll tell you what, we'll get to those questions. We'll get to my Trevor Lawrence pick, and we'll get to some tennis, anyone, right after this message from our partners.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
We are back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM. Let's get to a couple of more comments and questions. Better Days Ahead says Denver Philly first half total over 112 at -110. And Mikey B, D Johnson says thoughts on Maxey over 35.5 points and assists, and Karl Anthony Towns over 11 rebounds.
I don't really like that one. If that's a parlay, I don't really like it simply because I don't know about Maxey. I mean, it looks like Joel Embiid's going to play, so that's a good thing. Maxey has been pretty good the last few games, even with Embiid in the lineup, but I tend to stay away from the Maxey stuff when Embiid's playing really well too. It's not like Embiid's just playing 15 or 20 minutes a game. He's playing a lot. He's scoring really well. I like the Towns leg of that better. How about that?
Mikey B, fans of this show, who I'm sure already hit the like button, might remember, and this is not me gloating because I'm almost positive this isn't going to happen. I just want to get your reaction. Might remember in the offseason that I said the Sixers I thought were a decent bet to win the East at +1100, just because the East is so watered down with the obvious injuries that I don't need to mention at this point. Now, I don't think they're going to win the East, but they are playing a lot better and they seem to be healthy. I don't even know what the number is now, but does it look like, are there any great teams in the East? I understand the Pistons and the Knicks are very good. Are there any great teams in the East? And if this Philly team stays healthy, do they have a shot? Please feel free to shoot me down because I'm not sure they do. I just want to get your take here.
I mean, right now, if they end up with like the 4th or the 5th seed and they end up playing the Raptors or the Magic in the first round, could they win that? Yeah, for sure, especially if Embiid is healthy. But even if you get to the playoffs with a healthy Joel Embiid and Paul George, that's no guarantee that they're going to make it through it healthy. I think the ceiling for them is a first-round series win. So if you can get a nice cash-out odds on that, Sia, I might be looking to do that.
Yeah, well, maybe there's some sort of exacta where you can get Philly past the first round.
There you go. I like that. If they finish if they play the Raptors in the first round, I mean, they could definitely beat the Raptors. Definitely.
Typhoon says Magic could be scary. All right, let's get to some tennis, Mike, in Brisbane, of all places. Talk to me.
Yeah, tennis is back. Australian Open actually starts a week from today. Obviously, a long tournament there, but first Grand Slam of the season. If you've been at SportsLine for a while, you know I love to participate in the Grand Slams and the tournaments before and immediately after. I like Denis Shapovalov here. I'm going to play him in a straight set victory, 2-0. Again, these are not going to be Grand Slam best of 5 sets. This is just straight sets, 2-0 here, plus 175 the price point currently. This is what is attractive to me. That implies 36%. I made the number on this a lot closer to 43%, which would be plus 133 is the payout I would be expecting to be offered on a 2-0 straight set victory here. This is an interesting matchup because this opponent has had a lot of success on the Challenger Tour, certainly will be on the ATP Tour at some point. But when I look at Shapovalov, I think he's finally back. He had a bad knee injury in 2023, rehabbed it, had a lot of success towards the end of the season last year, and now is actually going to be seeded again at the Australian Open. But what I like about it against a younger player like this is Shapovalov is unique. If you watch his style of play, it's very unique. First of all, he's left-handed, which always can present a challenge to certain opponents if they aren't used to seeing that look often at that level. And I think that that's kind of the case here. He's got not only a true left-handed player, but the one-handed backhand versus the right hand and the two-handed backhand on the other side. I just think the difference when it comes to that angle and that vision and where the ball's coming from against this level of opponent is going to be too much. And if you fall behind the first set, it's very difficult to climb back in. I know a lot of people have different questions on this one. I would also consider playing minus 1.5 games up to minus 125. I would consider playing the money line up to minus 160. And then there are other bets out there to win the first set and the money line. I don't like that one nearly as much. I would, if Shapovalov loses a set here, I do expect it to still be that first one. I would expect his talent to ultimately win out. So if you're not going to play straight sets at plus 175, I would either lay the money line or lay the game and a half.
Quite the analysis. And I'm very excited for the Australian Open, your picks for the Australian Open. And oh, by the way, when that gets going, golf is going to get going. We've had a little bit longer of an off season because that first tournament isn't there. It would have been this week. I do want to let everybody know, I mean, Mike, you make picks for golf as well, but on this show, I have round matchups and nationality plays and outrights at least 2 to 3 times a week. So starting next week, the golf picks are back. And that was clearly, it was without question, my most profitable thing really all years, but specifically last year where I just went on a crazy run. So look forward to golf matchups, some tennis plays as well. I'm going to give out my play. And Larry, I know you want to talk about the MVP race as well. I want to get your comments there with Drake May and Matt Stafford. And Mike, after I give out my pick, I need your comments on this Bills game. And Larry, obviously, and Mikey B, you can talk about it as well, because there's a lot of conjecture and commentary in the chat about the Bills seem like a smash play to Gipper's pick. Steve Folkert says, no, I'm on the Jags side. I kind of lean to the Jags as well, but I don't know that it's something I'm going to bet. I do want to go around the horn and see where people are on that. My play, though, which I just put into SportsLine before the show got started. Brace yourself, folks. Listen, if I'm going to be trashing Trevor Lawrence and potentially being wrong on Trevor Lawrence, I may as well make some money out of it. We made a little bit of money on Friday. Let's make some more. Trevor Lawrence over 1.5 touchdown passes is plus 110. A couple of books have this at plus money. A couple of books have this in the minus 110, minus 115 range. I believe it's BetMGM and maybe FanDuel that has the plus in front of it. Go check it out where your book is. I honestly would probably play this even at minus 110, but I really like this play. Now, you're playing the Bills. The Jags are at home, and I understand what you're going to say. Oh, you just run on the Bills. That's the path to success. And that's absolutely true. But what I love about a successful rushing attack is that it gets you in plus territory more often than not. And when you look at what Liam Cohen is doing with Trevor Lawrence, he's trusting Trevor Lawrence. And yes, Trevor can rush himself. We saw that a couple of games ago, but he's been airing it out as well quite a bit. Now you look at the Bills, they haven't allowed a lot of touchdown passes, especially as of late, but they've also played some inferior quarterbacks in Brady Cook, Shador Sanders, Jalen Hurts, who typically doesn't throw a lot. So I think it's a bit misleading to say, oh, Trevor Lawrence is not going to throw. This is just going to be a rushing attack for Jacksonville, especially when you look at what Trevor Etienne's doing and Bashel Tutin over the last 4 or 5 games. It has not been a prolific rushing attack. So while I do think the rushing attack is going to succeed against, of all teams, the Bills, I think we're going to see a lot of plus territory, and I think we're going to see Trevor and Liam trusting Trevor's arm and throwing to the host of receivers that he clearly has been reliant on, whether that's Brenton Strange or Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington, and even BTJ. So give me Trevor Lawrence at what I do not think should be a plus number, over 1.5 touchdown passes at plus 110. Again, this total is well over 50. I think it's in that 51, 52 mark. So really like this play, Trevor Lawrence at plus money over 1.5 touchdown passes. Mike, do you have an opinion on this game in terms of a winner or loser?
The computer makes it really close to a straight pick 'em. It's got Jacksonville minus 0.5 point. I will not be betting it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bet against Josh Allen at this point, and I'm not going to back Trevor. Trevor's been great this season. There's been no doubt about it. Call me crazy, but I want to see it in a playoff game. I want to see it in a playoff game first. So yeah, I would be. This is a game I will not have any action on. I will watch probably every single snap of it and be very entertained, but I'm not going to get in the way of this one.
Yeah, Larry, Big Rody says, don't love the Bills either, but you can never count Josh Allen out. Honestly, Larry, I think that's what's keeping them as a favorite, because I think when you just look at the team as a whole, I feel like Jacksonville at home. And listen, I'm not the biggest Jacksonville fan, of course, but I'm not a Bills fan either, the way they're constructed right now. I would make Jacksonville maybe minus 2.5 here.
Yeah, this is going to be a great game. It is on CBS, which I know everyone at CBS is excited to have this game because it does have the potential for a classic and a high-scoring game. I don't have a play on this one yet, but I do think the main thing will be, can Buffalo sucker Jacksonville into running the ball? You know, they're going to give you like the lightest box possible, and they're going to say, please run the ball. And I hope Liam Cohen is smart enough to stick to the passing game. You have 5 tremendous targets. I'm including Etienne as a receiver because he's been so much better as a receiver, and 3 good wideouts and Brenton Strange, and that's your strength. So let's stick to that and getting Trevor Lawrence on the move when he needs to. But it's going to be a classic.
We're going to be talking about all these NFL wildcard games throughout the week. We got special shows, of course, on CBS Sports Network, but also on the Early Edge coming up this week. We got the college football to talk about with the 2 semifinal games. Mikey B, I know we have some more NBA questions, but any thoughts on that Bills-Jags game, or is there anything else that sticks out to you right now with the NFL playoffs?
Just like Mike said, I want no part of that game. Just grab a bag of chips, sit on the couch, and enjoy the game. That's one of those games where you just eat and enjoy.
Larry, talk to me about the MVP race.
This awards market is so fascinating because it looked like Matthew Stafford blew it with the 3 picks against Atlanta. And Drake May entered week 18, minus 325 and even higher, which is just kind of stunning that it had shifted that much based on tearing apart the Jets, you know, who are so hapless. And then, you know what happened? Saturday night happened. And I think everybody saw how dominant this Seattle defense is. And there was some thought that, oh my God, Stafford threw for almost 600 yards and 5 touchdowns with no picks against the Seattle defense. And people started to realize, hey, maybe we should consider the schedules a little bit more, because Stafford has clearly faced a tougher schedule. But then Stafford didn't deliver and they were losing 20-16. So it was still Drake May, but they were just waiting for something. And then he leads 3 touchdown drives to win that game, finishes with great numbers. Even May did nothing wrong yesterday. But I think Seattle's dominance and the fact that he was able to come alive late and win a meaningful game to get that 5 seed is going to take him home, because now last night he was minus 130. Now we're seeing minus 160, minus 165 on Stafford. That's so crazy. Everyone is expecting Stafford now, but it all comes down to the voters, and we won't know till February 5th.
I think that minus 160, 165 kind of tells the story, though. I think people want to give it to Stafford. They want reason to give it to Stafford. Not that they don't like Drake May, but the whole lifetime achievement thing and how good he's been this season. I think it's going to end up going to him. More basketball to get to. Typhoon, Mikey B says, going to my first NBA game tonight in Philly. Any player props or leans for Nuggets, Sixers?
So the tricky thing here, Typhoon, first of all, enjoy the game. That's awesome. Sorry that you're not going to get to see Jokic, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
It's the second game of a back-to-back set for the Nuggets. Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon returned yesterday, but you don't know if either or both are going to play today. So I'd be a little nervous on betting that one right now. We are going to talk about that, Sia, later on CBS Sports Network. Maybe we'll have something then if you tune in, Typhoon.
Ooh, 12 o'clock, CBS Sports Network. Mikey B is going to join me along with many others. Mike McClure, go ahead.
Yeah, just on the Denver side, Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon, both officially listed doubtful right now. And Jamal Murray also questionable. Right up to 11.5, 12 in that one.
Hope you're a Sixers fan, Typhoon, because you're not going to see many of the Nuggets.
Mike, while I have you, Martin Pescara wants to know, first set, Sharapova 2-0, first two games is plus 500. Your thoughts? Oh, I'm sorry, not Sharapova. Forgive me. Sharapova. How do you pronounce that again?
Shapovalov. Anyway, excuse me. No, I would not play this. So what this bet is him to win the first two games of a set, which means he either needs to break serve and hold serve or hold serve and break serve. I would not bet that in the first two games in this match, personally.
Shapovalov. See, we didn't have buckets on the show, so I didn't think I was going to have to get into mispronunciations, but then Mike hits me with a couple, and so does the chat. I know that was the play you had earlier anyway. Taj says, hey, Mikey B, LaMelo Ball under 29.5 rebounds, PRA, points, rebounds, assists, minus 124. Any thoughts?
I would lean under there, facing the Thunder, best defensive team in the league. However, I will say this, Taj, second game of a back-to-back set for the Thunder here. Don't know who's going to play. You would think that they're going to blow out the Hornets, but I don't. If they blow them out, LaMelo Ball probably plays limited minutes, and that under cashes for you. I don't know. I would avoid that one. Let's find a different wager, Taj. A different one.
All right. And we had one more NBA question. It's a future from Sean Levine, related to Avril, I believe. He wants to know, do you like the Celtics? This is with the hopes that Tatum comes back. Do you like the Celtics to win the East at plus 550?
Yeah, as long as Sean's not related to Zach LaVine, we're fine here. I would take. I like that. Now, listen, I don't know if Tatum's going to come back. Do I think it's a good idea if he comes back? No, I don't. I think they'd be better off resting him. But again, they're the third seed in the East. They are a half game behind the Knicks for the second seed. So they're right there. And a conference that you mentioned, Sia, doesn't really have a team that stands out among the rest. Plus 550, I certainly like that, because let's say an injury happens to the Knicks or the Pistons. The Celtics, if they enter the playoffs healthy and one of those other two teams is missing one of their top players, they could easily win the conference. So I like that.
Pogo Pick says Hardaway and Watson points props could be in play in that Denver-Philly game. Certainly true. Just a matter of what that line is set at. Larry, real quick before we get to the recap screen, we did have a college basketball bet that we wanted to bring to the show, but when some of our sharp guys like Tom Casale put a play out on SportsLine where you can get it before the line moves instead of on the show where sometimes it's hours or 12 hours later. He had, just speak to this, correct me if I'm wrong, he had Ohio State money line, but now it's up to minus 155.
Yeah, minus 115, I think, is what he got it when the line opened. He puts it in the Discord right away, then he posts it on the site. And then typically this is what happens with Casale. I mean, the guy is 18-9 this season, comes out of the hospital last week. He was upset because he had a few plays, but he was in his bed and getting some surgery, and he couldn't get the plays out except on his phone. And then, he comes out of the hospital and picks up right where he left off. I mean, he's been doing this basically ever since he got here. I truly believe he is the best college basketball bettor that I know.
And that's really high praise because you certainly know a lot of them. So I think that's the thing. Again, I don't want to have the final few minutes of the show be a promo. We'll get to the recap screen. We'll get you out of here. But the early edge is a microcosm of the picks that you get at SportsLine. We're talking like a very small portion of the picks you get at SportsLine. And the cool thing about SportsLine is if you can follow whatever capper you want. If you want to just put a follow tag, courtesy of the app, on Mike McClure, Larry, and Mikey B, because you only like their picks, you're only interested in their picks for some reason, you can do that. But there's so many in the SportsLine universe that you can tail. And if you want to join SportsLine, go to sportsline.com/join, type in the promo code winners, and you get 60% off the annual plan. Again, sportsline.com/join, type in the promo code winners, 60% off the annual plan. And of course, that gets you all the picks when the picks are given out. It also gives you the SportsLine Discord for free. A really good example of what you can do with SportsLine. When we did the prop show, I had a Kevin Austin prop that honestly I don't think a lot of people got, because it came out in the middle of the prop show at like 3:30. Like literally we were waiting for it. It came out in the middle of the prop show. And as soon as the prop, and I said, okay, that's an official play. It was 35.5 receiving yards. As soon as the prop show ended at 4:00 on Friday Eastern time, I went to the SportsLine app and I put the bet in. It was still at 35.5 receiving yards, but it shot up pretty soon after that. So you might not have gotten that. And that's just a really good example of, if we get the pick out on SportsLine, you might get it. But if you wait and you wait for a show, potentially the line will have moved. And in the case of Ohio State, that's what we've got. All right, I think we covered all of the questions. Sony's pointing out BetMGM has a 20% bonus on college hoops tonight if you want to take Ohio State. That's actually a good call. Mike, you talk about that, I know, a lot. Using a boost to get something that's heavily juiced kind of down a little bit.
Yeah, definitely could be a good use of the boost, especially on what maybe be a little bit of a slower sports day overall. Yeah, I think it's fine use of it.
All right, Mike, I'll be talking to you at 12 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. We're going to talk some college football there as well. All right, let's get to the recap screen and get everybody out of here. As Will Like says, let's have a week. Trevor Lawrence, of course, this isn't until this weekend. Over 1.5 touchdown passes. Really like the plus number in front of this. Any plus number I like. Again, I even kind of like this at -105, -110, but certainly no more than that. College basketball, Penn plus 3.5, -115 from Larry Hartstein. Mikey B, Derek White over 10.5 rebounds and assists at -114, and Luke Garza over 7.5 points at -122. Then we go to Brisbane. Here we go. Shapovalov. I think I kind of got that right. Shapovalov? Mike, help me out.
Yeah, Dennis Shapovalov. Yep.
All right, close enough. Two sets to none plus 175. Listen to Mike's breakdown though, because he gave you plenty of alternate ways to bet that specific match if you so choose. And then we got a couple of SportsLine picks here. Utah Mammoth money line plus 106 from Jeff Hockman, and Miles McBride over 11.5 points -122. That one courtesy of PropStars. Katie Taylor says it all. Good luck all. Again, happy that we got a 7-6 instead of a 6-7 recap screen. Let's try to get another winning recap screen. But we've got a lot coming this week. There is no slowdown here. We've got a lot of NFL and college football to talk about on the early edge, among the NBA and college basketball, NHL, soccer. We're going to have it for you on the early edge. So make sure you're subscribed to this SportsLine YouTube channel. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Mikey B. Thank you, Mike McClure. And thank you, Ben, Ben, you're going to need to be on the show later too to talk about Indiana. I really like Indiana -4. I want to see if some of the other college football guys really like Indiana -4 as well. Mike, Larry, Mike, I'll probably ask you that question later on this week. That's a no. You like Oregon, Mike?
Yeah.
Darn it. All right. I guess I'm off Indiana. Fine. Mike, we'll get your explanation later on this week. Thank you for giving that nod, because now people can be like, all right, I'm not going to listen to Sia here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a great Monday. Maybe we'll see you on CBS Sports Network at 12 o'clock. Either way, thanks for hanging out with us at 10. See you tomorrow at 10 on the Early Edge. We rest our case.